on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Puck It with Jo over here on a SportsGrid TV. We've got a loaded slate out there on the ice today, so we're going to jump right into it. We're going to fly through each and every single game as quickly as possible here over on the grid so that you guys can get onto watching these games as well as college football. Yes, it is game day. If you're looking for my best bets out there in college football, please head on over to the SportsGrid app. The links to download are above and below. And yeah, you don't want to miss the Madden Quickie over there. So let's jump straight into this game over in Finland. We did see the Florida Panthers come out nice and strong in yesterday's matchup, winning that game in great style. Barkov was able to get 4 points on the board. He was so strong out there. Now looking at this matchup today, we do have the Florida Panthers at a pick 'em price, minus 110, the Dallas Stars, and the total sitting at 6.5. We saw the over hit yesterday, and I do think we could see a lot of open ice opportunities between these two teams. Again, I think there's a way to look at player props again in this one. Casey DeSmith expected here for the Dallas Stars and Spencer Knight for the Florida Panthers. I did think these two teams would split the series over there, but with how strong the Florida Panthers came out yesterday, I'm kind of cautious to take the Dallas Stars at that pick 'em price. I'm going to look at a couple of things. With Barkov being so good, I do think he gets that point on the board today. So I did a same game player prop parlay. Now, Rupe Hintz was dead silent out there on the ice yesterday. And a native Finland, I do think he is going to step up in this game. I took Rupe Hintz for 3+ shots on goal. I threw that into this parlay. So I have a 4-leg same game parlay here. I'm going to take Rupe Hintz for 3+ shots on goal, Barkov for 3+ shots on goal, Lundell for 3+ shots on goal, and Heiskanen for 3+ shots on goal. Why am I doing shots on goal and not player points? Because FanDuel is not giving me player points today, you guys. Taking all those guys for 3+ shots on goal, coming in at plus 27.83. Again, that's Rupe Hintz, Barkov, Lundell, and Heiskanen, all for 3+ shots on goal. I am going to take Rupe Hintz outside of the parlay for 2+ points tonight. That's coming in at right around plus 410. So I'm going to be jumping on that market. I do think he has a strong one out there. But yeah, this is all about Dallas being able to find the back of the net tonight. They were able to put up 36 shots in that loss yesterday. So looking at those players like Rupe Hintz to be able to get those shots, I think is a really strong way to go in this one. When we look at what cashed yesterday for us, Lundell cashed for the goal at plus 390. We also had Barkov cash for the goal at plus 290. Rupe Hintz failed and Heiskanen failed to get on the board, not even able to record points. So I do think those points are coming for them today. If you can get the points, definitely jump on that as well. Good morning to each and every one of you. Adam, Nicholas, Sports Pick Casino. Florida was lucky to win. Yeah, they came against a hot goalie, so that's where you've got to look, and Barkov was absolutely phenomenal. You got to look at those hot goalies in situations, and because Bobrovsky was so strong, you would think here the Dallas Stars would be able to hit Spencer Knight. He's got a 3.03 goals against average and an 8.98 save percentage. Casey DeSmith has been playing strong on the year for the Stars. He's coming in 2-1 with a 1.69 goals against 1.69 goals against average. So when we're looking here, if you want to look at a total for one of these teams to go to the over, I would be the Dallas Stars for me instead of looking at the Florida Panthers to go over that team total. Let's jump into the next game. We have the Boston Bruins taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. This one kicking off in just over an hour, 1:10 Eastern here. The Bruins rolling in here at minus 138. The Philadelphia Flyers at plus 116. Total 5.5. The juice to the over is minus 128. Now, the Flyers did win the last matchup, and I tell you, I miss the fact that it was Mother's Thursday, the Mums were in the building for their last win versus the Boston Bruins. They were able to get a low-scoring win. That was on Thursday. It was a 2-0 win over the Bruins, shutting them completely out. They then faced the St. Louis Blues on Thursday, winning that one 4-1. I'm looking for this team to kind of have a little bit of regression here versus the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins got completely embarrassed in their last game out, and I do think that they answer back in this one. First night of a back-to-back here for the Boston Bruins. They got the Kraken at home tomorrow. The Leafs on deck on Tuesday. If it was the Leafs tomorrow, I wouldn't be looking at the Bruins in this one, but because it's the Kraken, I will. They lost to the Canes on Thursday night, 8-2. It was just a disastrous performance out there for the Boston Bruins. I'm looking for them to bounce back, but when we look at those current odds, I can't lay -138 on the Boston Bruins. What I'm going to look at is the first period puck line. I expect them to get on the board and get on the board fast, hitting Urgent in this one. The puck line in the first period for the Boston Bruins, laying that half a goal, coming in at +154. You look at Urgent versus or on the season, 4-1 on the season with a 3.58 goals against average. So I do think they're going to hit him. Swayman has been strong, but not fantastic versus the Flyers in his career, going 4-2-0 in 6 games. So 4 wins, 2 losses, but that goals against average, is a 3.02. The save percentage is strong, though, at 902. I just think the Bruins answer in this one. And Pastrnak has been pretty quiet, you guys, which can't stick, right? Pastrnak, we know how strong he is out there on the ice. I'm going to look for Pastrnak, and probably my best bet of this game, Pasta for 2+ points in this game for the Boston Bruins, coming in at +215. This team is going to be ready to hit the ice and play hard in this one. The Flyers first period, if you don't think they're going to score here on Swayman, which I do struggle to see the Flyers scoring in the first period, they're averaging only 2.73 goals per game, 26.2 shots on net. Now, under a goal here for the Flyers in the first period at +104. I don't think they score in the first period. I think the Bruins get up 1-0 in that first period, and we call it a day. So let's get in and out of that game. The Chicago Blackhawks and the LA Kings are the next game in action. This one doesn't kick off to 4:10. So we got a couple earlier ones, later games here. The Chicago Blackhawks rolling in at +164. The LA Kings 2-1 favorites here for you. That total is at 5.5 as well. -128 to the over. A couple of 5.5 at -128, which is an interesting one. Peter Mrazek rolling in here for the Chicago Blackhawks, and this is the first night of a back-to-back. For this team, they have the Anaheim Ducks on deck tomorrow. Now, the LA Kings have been playing strong. They were able to get that win over the Vegas Golden Knights, and it was a big win on Wednesday, 6-3. I didn't expect them to be able to do it. They were on the second night of a back-to-back after really choking away the game the night prior versus the San Jose Sharks, because they were looking ahead to this matchup. Again, looking at scheduling is pivotal when you are betting in the NHL, more so than any other sport, I do think. Darcy Kemper expected in goal for the LA Kings tonight. He's been solid on the season. He's just below 900 for that save percentage. We know the defense has taken a blow in this one. This team is allowing 3.27 goals per game. We've seen the Chicago Blackhawks completely struggle to score on the road. They've only scored over 2 goals twice so far in 7 away games. So there are their struggles. The Kings have not lost yet this season at home. But that being said, they've had, 8 road games so far. So it's been a hard start for the LA Kings with all of the road games they have played. Now, they have the Predators on the road on Monday, then the Wild on Tuesday. There will be in a look-ahead situation, I really do think, to those games. I don't think we see them dominate here over the Chicago Blackhawks. And that's crazy to say, but when we look at the last 6 matchups, 3 of those have gone to overtime. So the Blackhawks have been a team that have played the Sharks strong played the Kings strong because the Kings have overlooked this team in a lot of situations. Now, they have won the last 5 between these two. So they have been able to get it to OT and get the win, outscoring them 20-8. That comes from a couple of those games where they completely blew out the Chicago Blackhawks. So I really don't look at that trend and hold it tight. I like the trend better of 3 of the last 6 going to OT. That shows me the that Chicago, when the Kings are in a situation like this, with the look-ahead situation to a couple of road games against really solid teams in the Predators and the Wild, with back-to-back games, that being said as well on the road, that they should look past the Chicago Blackhawks a little bit. And I do think the Chicago Blackhawks are creating those high-danger chances. The problem is the high-danger chances are not converting. They're averaging right around 10 high-danger shots on goal per game, but they are only putting in 2.64 goals per game on average on the season. So I'm looking for that to step up in this. I was looking at a couple ways to bet this. You could take the Kings team total over 3.5. Peter Mrazek, though, I looked at his numbers versus the LA Kings, and I'm super impressed, you guys. 3-3-1, so that's not the best record, but when you look at his goals against average, Peter Mrazek coming in with a 1.92 goals against average versus the LA Kings. He also has a .936 save percentage. He can steal the Chicago Blackhawks this game, especially if the Kings are looking ahead. He does have one shutout versus them as well, so I almost think it is worth a sprinkle in this. Yes, call me crazy. I do think one way to go is looking at those live lines, because right now we look at the lines and we have the LA Kings, a $2 favorite, plus 164 here for the Chicago Blackhawks. But if you want to look at that puck line, and that's where I kind of want to look, plus 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks, not putting too much money on this team because it's still the Chicago Blackhawks. That's coming in at minus 158. So I don't want to go there. But what I would do is live bet this game. If the Kings come out hard and fast and go up by 1 or 2 goals, coming back on the Chicago Blackhawks, plus 1.5 or plus 2.5, when we're getting that value there on that puck line. So that's where I would look. I do think, excuse me, my voice is crazy as of late. I do think the first period under 1.5 goals is a solid way to go. I trust Peter Mrazek to keep the Kings off the board to start this game. This team can score. They're averaging 3.27 goals per game. But I'm looking for the Blackhawks to be able to play strong defensively in front of Peter Mrazek. And even if they don't, Peter Mrazek to stand tall at least for that first period. So first period under 1.5, minus 108. And then I think I'll take this one to go to overtime, plus 360 for that overtime bet. 50% chance in your last 6 games, and it has gone to overtime. Now, Tyler Bertuzzi is getting those shots on goal. You can look at him over 1.5 shots on goal. That has cashed in 7 of the last 10 games for Tyler Bertuzzi. You can look at Tara Vinen, Connor Bedard, and Seth Jones. Those would be who I'd look for Chicago to be able to get those points on the board. Unfortunately, the point market isn't out yet on FanDuel. And if we're looking at the LA Kings, you know you've got to look at Kempe, Fiala, Kopitar, and more to come out nice and strong. So look at those points. Trevor Moore over his 2.5. Shots on goal, I do like as well. Go Bills. You're taking the Bills tomorrow. That line is looking kind of fishy versus the Dolphins. Wings game. I do believe the Wings game is going over. Have fun on your bike, Adam. Be careful out there. Okay, the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Washington Capitals. Who would have thought the Washington Capitals would be an offensive juggernaut like we're seeing so far this season? They're almost a $3 favorite, you guys. Minus 260 here on the money line, plus 210 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sign me up, you guys. Plus 1.5 at minus 120. I do think Columbus can come in here and put up a battle versus the Washington Capitals. I love this game to go over that total of 6.5. That's coming in at plus 104. Both teams to score in the first period. I think this is our cash cow money maker with plus money. Both teams to score in the first period at plus 172. Tarasov expected here for the the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Logan Thompson for the Washington Capitals. Logan Thompson doesn't have great numbers on the season, 3.21 goals against average, and a save percentage below 900 of 876. Tarasov coming in here. I can't trust him in net either. He's got a 3.42 goals against average and an 886 save percentage. So I do think both of these teams are going to get these goals on the board. We're looking at a Columbus Blue Jackets team that was able to put 2 up versus the Winnipeg Jets, which says a lot because defense and goaltending are strong for the Winnipeg Jets. We're also looking here at the Capitals. They are off that win versus Montreal, able to stack up those goals 6-3. This is a battle of the Metro. Capitals sitting third, and the Columbus Blue Jackets sitting 5th. First night of a back-to-back for the Caps, which is a dangerous place to be in. They will be looking ahead to Carolina tomorrow. I can promise you that. Carolina is such a matchup. Even though this is a divisional rival here, they want to beat Carolina tomorrow. So that's a scary situation. It's an afternoon game as well. It's the second night of a back-to-back, though, here for Columbus. They did lose that one last night to the Jets, like I said. It's a 5-game road trip for them that kicks off tonight. Both these teams have been playing solid, so give me the over 6.5. Both teams score in the first period. I'm going to look at a couple things, and it's Monahan and Andrew Mangiapane to be able to get those goals on the board tonight. Now, the late Johnny Gaudreau, these two players were both of his pallbearers. They are so meaningful to the Gaudreau family. And I do think playing against each other here, these two are great friends. We're great friends of Johnny Gaudreau. I think both of them will be able to get on the board. They all played with Johnny back in Calgary. So give me Monahan for the anytime goal at plus 220. Give me Andrew Mangiapane at plus 290 for those anytime goals. And we know Ovechkin has been rolling hot. Ovechkin coming in at plus 120 for the anytime goal. Not as much value as we were getting at one point, but I do think it is a solid way to still go with Ovechkin. Okay, let's move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're taking on the St. Louis Blues. The Leafs are rolling in as a $2 favorite at minus 210 on that money line. The St. Louis Blues at plus 172. This total sitting at 6.5. And am I crazy? But what we've seen out of the Leafs, they could go over the 6.5 themselves. Now, the last time these two teams did match up, we rode with the St. Louis Blues on the road because of Wall in goal. Wall has, since that loss, we got the plus money with St. Louis. They won that 5-1, I believe it was. Since that loss, Wall has stepped up his game. I always love fading a goalie in their first game back off of injury. So we did that situation. Now Wall is rolling nice and strong out there. And I think it's a hard spot to fade Toronto in this one. I do think that over 6.5 is in play, though. I still think both of these teams will be scoring the goals. And I expect the majority of those goals to come out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know this team, and we know this team has every ability to put up 5 on their own. So can we get a couple out of the St. Louis Blues? I do think we can. This is their first game home off a long road trip. They were a 4-game road trip, though, so it's always a hard spot to be in. This is the first night, though, on a back-to-back. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have the Wild on deck tomorrow, who sits second in the Central. This is a battle of no divisional rivals. So 3rd in the Atlantic for Toronto, 6th in the Central for the St. Louis Blues. I think this is payback for Toronto against St. Louis, beating them back in middle of October. That was, again, a 5-1 win, where Toronto came up against hot goaltending. They put 41 shots on goal in that game. I do think those goals convert tonight. Now, I'm looking at that second line. I think the second line is where you're going to find strength in this one for Toronto. That second line is Pacioretty. He's also on the first power play unit. Nylander at the right wing. He's also in the second power play unit. And John Tavares centers that line on the second power play unit as well. I'm looking at all 3 of those guys to be able to get the points on the board tonight. Again, the points aren't listed yet on FanDuel, but I would parlay all 3 of them. I do think they find success. This line, this second line, is dominating out there on the ice. They're getting the minutes, and they're actually scoring at a high rate. So that second line, again, Max Pacioretty, you got to look at him, William Nylander, and John Tavares for their points tonight. Now, I'm going to take Nylander for the anytime goal as well. He's coming in at plus 175. I do think here we have the opportunity for Toronto. That's power play is just disgusting to be able to convert on it, because the kill isn't that strong here for the St. Louis Blues. It's coming in at 73.3% only. Again, the props are not out yet for the power play points for William Nylander. I would look at him for the power play points. Again, second power play unit. And while I don't normally like to play the second power play unit, I like to look at the first, like that Austin Matthews lineup. We also have Max Pacioretty on that first power play unit. I do think here, just because of how strong that second line is, looking at their power play points and their points overall should be a strong way to go. They've just dominated in minutes. Now we do have Tavares coming off a hat trick. Can we get Tavares to continue to roll strong? Now his 2+ goals in this one coming in at plus 1,600. Can we get that for Tavares? We absolutely could here versus the St. Louis Blues. I do think this defense has shown a little bit of a regression as of late. So I'm looking for Tavares to come out strong. If you don't want to take the goals, I'd look at him for 2+ points. We're still going to get great plus money on John Tavares for 2+ points. But off that game, I do think it's a strong way to go. Again, the best bet, though, just take this one over 6.5. We're still getting plus money in this. You could look at Toronto's team total if you don't want to go with the full game to the over. Now, the Seattle Kraken versus the Ottawa Senators. Let me just find lines again. All lines are over on FanDuel. We do have the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers underway, you guys. We're about 5 minutes into this game, and neither team is yet to score. So I'll keep you updated with that game and where we can jump in live betting it. We will get back to it in just a minute. If you didn't see that, jump back to the start of the video for that same game parlay in this one. The Seattle Kraken and the Ottawa Senators, you guys. The Kraken rolling in here at plus 100. The Senators at minus 120. Total of 6.5 in this one. I'm liking a lot of overs today. I do think the Ottawa Senators last night, they came against the New York Rangers. They were only able to put up 1 goal. They went 0 for 5 on the power play. They came against a wall here against the Rangers last night in Igor Shesterkin. This is not going to be the same matchup. Joey Daccord has been strong on the season for the Seattle Kraken, 4-2-1 with a good save percentage of 912. But I do think we see the Ottawa Senators be able to convert tonight on that power play. That power play is so strong to be limited out here. Second best in the league at 36.4%. And the kill, it's solid here for the Kraken at 81.2%. But I think Ottawa comes out with a vengeance. Now, they were on the road last night, so they're traveling back home. It is the second night of a back-to-back. But this is the third game of a 5-game road trip here for the Seattle Kraken. They lost that last game to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1. And I do think Ottawa has every ability. Now, I looked at that line, and the Ottawa Senators, I really did expect them to be bigger favorites. So they're minus 120 here on the money line. I'm laying the puck line, you guys, minus 1.5 on the puck line at plus 198. I know I'm crazy, but I love that plus money. And I look at this team, Brady Tkachuk, Batherson, Struzel. These three guys have been playing phenomenally strong. I think you look at those top lines for their points as well. I do think they are coming in this. Now, Joey Daccord was originally drafted by the Ottawa Senators. I believe it was 2011. Like, he's bounced around a little bit. It's taken a while for him to become a starter, but really impressed with what Joey Daccord has done this season. But I think the Ottawa Senators light him up tonight. We got Forsberg getting the start here for Ottawa. They're going to need to give him support. He's 2-2 on the season with a point or 895 save percentage. He's got 1 shutout though, so give him the support. They hold opponents to 28.4 shots on goal per game. So Senators, you're rolling with the Sens. I think it's got to be the Senators. Monahan has been lighting things up. Over 2.5 shots on goal. Cashed in 4 of the last 5. Great trend there, sports pick, because, I like where you're going with that. Brandon Montour is day-to-day in this game for personal reasons. So a couple players out today. Brandon Montour is one of them for Seattle. And when we look at Vegas, tough spot tonight with Mark Stone out of that lineup. It could be a fade of Vegas in the Fortress. We'll get to that game in the next couple minutes. Firstly, we're going to talk 7 p.m. Eastern, the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Again, another total 6.5, minus 105 to the over. We've got the Sabres rolling in here at plus 102 on the money line, and sign me up. I do think the Buffalo Sabres can get the win here. We've got strong trends to the road team between these two when they meet up. The Detroit Red Wings, I just am not comfortable laying minus 122 on the money line with Cam Talbot in goal. We look at Cam Talbot versus the Detroit Red Wings. Things are not pretty, you guys. On the season, he's been solid. 2-1-1 with a 3.61 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. That looks great. Now, rewind to him versus the Buffalo Sabres in his career. 7 games played. It's gone 1-4. So he's been yanked, you guys. 4.14 goals against average and an 872 save percentage. There is no way I can take the Red Wings with that. I don't expect him to bounce back in this game against a team that really has had his number. Now, Lankican in for Buffalo here. He's had a rougher start to the season than I actually expected. I'm expecting him to get into better form. He's got a save percentage of 890. I expect that to be a 920 before the season is out. He's 2-2 in 4 games this season with a goals against average of 3.09. When we look at him versus the Red Wings, that save percentage is low as well, 878. So he needs to step up here. We have seen a weak power play here for the Buffalo Sabres, but the kill is so weak here. For the Detroit Red Wings, I'm looking for the Sabres to step up on that power play. I think this game starts off fast, though. I'm looking at the over 1.5 in the first period at -136. Playmakers on both sides of the puck. I'm also looking at both teams to score. Both teams to score in the first period, you guys, +154. You guys know we love that plus money. Battle of the Atlantic here. And, you know, when we're looking at these divisional rivalries, you normally would think this would go to the under, but defense has not been a strong suit for either of these teams thus far to start the season. So give me the Sabres on the money line. Give me the first period over 1.5. Both teams to score at +154. The road team has won the last 4 meetings. They've split it 2-2. So it's not like we've seen one of these teams just dominate out there on the road. They have been able to get the split in the last 4. The Red Wings lost their last 3, and we do see the Buffalo Sabres on the second night of a back-to-back. So that is detrimental, but I think they can get it done. I'm looking at the power play points for that top line. Tage Thompson, Zucker, I do think, and Rasmus Dahlin. Those would be the 3 on that top line, that top power play unit that I would look at for the power play point to come in tonight. So, and then when you're looking at the Red Wings, I still think they're going to score in this one. This is a back and forth, higher scoring 4-3 style game, in my opinion. Dylan Larkin and Raymond have been so phenomenally strong. You got DeBrincat and Patrick Kane as well. You can't go wrong with any of those guys in this matchup. Let's move on to the Montreal Canadiens. They're coming in at +140 on the road versus the Pittsburgh Penguins at -170. Another 2 teams that really are struggling to keep the puck out of the back of their net. This total sitting at 6.5. It's -128 to the over. It makes sense why this one is juiced to that over. Montreal, we know they have the elite playmaker Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. Both of these players have been strong, and Sid the Kid really needs to step up here for the Penguins. I'm going to look at Sidney Crosby for the anytime goal in this one, but if you're looking for who's leading the team in goals, that is Malkin. He has 3 goals and 9 assists. He's leading in points. I do think he comes out nice and strong. So another game where I'm going to look at a total, but instead of the full game total, I still think Montreal scores, but I like the Pittsburgh Penguins here at home to go over 3.5 goals. It's coming in at -126. They did win this last matchup between these 2 teams in a dominating style. It was a 6-3 one. Now they have a road trip starting on Tuesday. So it's not on Monday. It's, not a look ahead spot in my opinion. They're off the overtime win versus the Anaheim Ducks. How they did not get more goals than the Anaheim Ducks, but Dahl still has been strong for the Ducks. So that's one thing to watch. He's been keeping that team in these games. Now we have seen the Montreal Canadiens lose their last 2. Sam Montague expected, and he just hasn't looked like the goaltender we all know that he can be. In those first couple games of the season, he played so phenomenally strong. Now, Montreal allows an average of 4.18 goals per game, and this is why I'm really honing in on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Team total over 3.5. Montreal can't keep the puck out of the back of their net. Nedeljkovic is confirmed in net for the Penguins. So let's go there. It's really interesting, the bad trends against both of these teams. Montreal 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games versus Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh 1-6 straight up in their last 7 games. Gross, right? So I got to look at the team total of the Pens. How can you lay -170 on them on the money line with those kind of stats? Let's talk the Colorado Avalanche. Now, the Colorado Avalanche are in Nashville tonight to take on the Predators. The Predators are the favorite, and we've got strength against strength here. We've got one of the best power play units in the league in the Colorado Avalanche going against one of the best PKs in the league in the Nashville Predators. Yes, their kill is phenomenally strong. Total of 6.5 in this one, minus 106 to the over, and minus 114 to the under. I'm shocked at this total, to be honest with you, because I do think both of these teams can put up the goals. Now, we know the Nashville Predators have been struggling to score overall on the season, but when we look at Colorado hasn't been playing good defense. We know backup goaltending in for them that has been stronger than expected. But looking at this matchup, Ross Colton will be out, you guys. I totally missed that Ross Colton got hurt. He should be out for a good couple of months here for Colorado. So that is a shame to see, because he was leading this team in goals. He was just cashing. He was on that top line, and he was able to really make a huge impact here for Colorado. Now, we are seeing the Preds start to click a little bit better with Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault getting into a better flow out there on the ice with Philip Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly. So I'm liking what the Predators are starting to do. This team can control the faceoffs as well. We look at their ability to win those faceoffs. They're winning 54.2% of the faceoffs, one of the stronger teams in the league. At that, the power play is strong here for Colorado. We know that, 35.1%, and the kill, 93.3% here for the Preds. So we got the best kill in the league versus the third best power play. This is going to be a battle. I do think Colorado, with the value we're getting, is too much to pass up on, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Preds get this one done at home. I'm going to look at this game to go to overtime, and let me just make sure the books have it up now, because it was not up before we started the show. Plus 370 for this one to go to OT, you guys. And I think that is the best bet of this game. I think each of these teams give each other hell in this one, and we have a back and forth battle of each of their strengths. So let's go, you guys. Next game, the Vancouver Canucks versus the San Jose Sharks. We've been on a roll. We have been on a roll. We've taken the Sharks the last 3 games. They've won the last 3 games. Can we take them at home again today versus the Vancouver Canucks? What do you guys think? Are you willing to take the San Jose Sharks tonight? Let me pull up current odds over here on FanDuel. I just have to get back to that page. There is 10 minutes left in the first period here between the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers. Still 0-0 in that game. The Dallas Stars moving now to a minus 122 favorite. It was a pick 'em going into this, you guys. That total sitting at 5.5. Plus 108 to the over 5.5. I would like to jump on that total over. Currently, 5.5 is just too low, in my opinion. I think we could get an empty netter. I could see this being a 3-2 game, empty netter pushing us to 4-2 in this one. And the books just locked the line. So tell me someone scored, because that would be good to see. That 5.5 will be gone. Nope, they open it back up, 5.5 plus 118 to the over, you guys. So I would jump on that now. The Vancouver Canucks versus the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are coming in at plus 230, minus 285 here for the Vancouver Canucks, total of 6.5. Looking at Tyler Toffoli, he's played on so many teams. Vancouver was one of the teams that he did play on. So I always love that angle against a former team. That being said, he's played on so many, you guys. You got to look at him versus Calgary. You got to look at him versus Winnipeg, the New Jersey Devils. I'm missing one. Montreal. Did he play for Montreal? I think he played for Montreal as well as the Vancouver Canucks. So Tyler Toffoli versus any team in the league, it seems. I do think he can find the back of the net tonight. I'm going to look at him to come out nice and strong. Good news, Celebrini did hit the ice for a skate on Wednesday. Not sure if he's going to be in the lineup today, but he definitely will infuse a spark in this offense if Celebrini is in the lineup. So watch to look for that there for the Sharks. Now, the Vancouver Canucks have their backup goaltender in Silvos, and he's 0-2-1 on the season. 5.00 goals against average and a 797 save percentage. There's no way I'm betting on the Canucks, especially as over a $2 favorite. Yes, they're sitting fourth in the Pacific. This is the first game of a road trip. I do think they overlook the Sharks. I think they overlook the Ducks. They're looking at that matchup versus the King, Battle of the Pacific. They're not looking at the 8th team in the Pacific here, just kind of like what the Kings did in their matchup. So I think the Kings could steal another one, or the Sharks could steal another one. Give me the Sharks team total over 2.5 goals is the safest bet. Over 2.5 goals coming in at plus 108. I do think they'll score on the backup goaltending here for the Vancouver Canucks. The defense of the Canucks is strong on the kill, but they're allowing an average of 3.3 goals per game and 27.8 shots on goal. We're going to need the Sharks to get those high danger shots to be able to convert, but I do think that they will be able to convert in this one. And yes, Vancouver is going to be pissed after getting shut out in their own building versus the New Jersey Devils, and they should take it out on the Sharks. I just don't see it happening with backup goaltending. So if anything, the over 1.5, the both teams to score in the first period. Look for the Sharks to start off just as hot as the Vancouver Canucks. And last but not least, you guys, Utah taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights, like I said, without Mark Stone, he is day-to-day for personal reasons. And without Mark Stone in the Fortress, without their captain, I'm riding with Utah here. We're getting the Utah Hockey Club at plus 132. This is a young, scrappy team that just definitely has something to prove. They always had something to prove as the Arizona Coyotes as well. You got to love the playmakers on this team. At plus 132, I will bite. If I lose it, then I lose it. But I do think the dogs are always barking out there on the ice, more so in any other sport. This total sitting at 6.5, plus 104 to the over, minus 128 to the under. Another way I think you can look at this, I won't be surprised to see the goals racking up in this one. Another way you can look at this is if you are not brave enough to take Utah straight up at plus 132, the puck line's too juiced, and the juice keeps ticking up, you guys. Plus 1.5 is minus 188. Plus 1.5, like an hour ago, was minus 160-ish, and that was too high for me. Or actually, I think it was minus 152. So to be honest with you, because I looked at it, I wanted to bet the plus 1.5, but I didn't get there. If we see the Vegas Golden Knights go up quick, hit Connor Ingram quick with that goal, coming back on Utah plus the 1.5 at a better value would be the way that I would go in this one. So Clayton Keller has been racking up the goals for Utah. Gunther and Schmaltz have been strong as well. So I think this team has every opportunity to win it. They have the best face-off in the league. Their face-off is winning 56.2% of those face-offs, and winning those face-offs is pivotal for a team to get the win, controlling that puck. So they'll be able to win it in their zone and in Vegas's zone, and I do think they can convert those goals. They just put up 5 goals on the Calgary Flames, held Calgary 2-1, and we know Vegas is kind of folding right now. They lost that game to the Kings when the Kings were on the second night of a back-to-back. And yes, the Kings didn't put out all their effort versus the Sharks, but Vegas should have been able to roll over the LA Kings in that battle. They're still sitting first in the Pacific. Now, Ivan Barbashev has been leading the Vegas Golden Knights with 7 goals. So if you want to look at Barbashev here for the anytime goal, I wouldn't blame you. I do think he can get on the board. You're going to go with the Sharks play, the over in the Sharks game. I like where you're going there. No play on the over. Okay. You guys, Sharks scare. Yeah. It's always scary taking the Sharks. We've made money on them the last, we've made money. Let me slow down. We've made money on them the last 3 games. So a little bit of pocket change on the San Jose Sharks to get it done again today. But you guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Pocket with Jo. I just want to check to see if we've got any goals yet. No, still no goals between the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers. I expect this to open up in the second period. That total sitting at 5.5, the over 5.5 plus 130. Second period prop bets here that we can look at. The total goals in the second period, over 1.5 goals. The books see these goals coming. Minus 200 for over 1.5 goals in the second period. That's disgusting, you guys. Both teams to score in the second period, not even value at plus 105. Both teams are scoring in the second period. We're going over 1.5. The Dallas Stars second period over half a goal. There's no value there. The Florida Panthers, no value there for their goals in the second period. It's going to be a good matchup, you guys. All the best in all of your bets today. Remember, I am live on the grid with Scott Wett. So from 3:30 Eastern today all the way to 7:30 Eastern. So make sure you come over and join us. We'll be talking everything happening. It's game day in college football. You know that's our main priority today. So make sure you join us over there. And just hint, I'm taking Penn State versus my Buckeyes. I do think they have every opportunity to get the win, at least to cover at home. I'm taking them plus 3.5. I could see this being a 27-24 win for the Buckeyes. So that hook, so pivotal to get in this game. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. I'll see you back here tomorrow for Pocket with Jo at noon Eastern. If you're looking to follow me on socials, head on over to Jo Madden Sports on X. See you guys.